Okay, guys. So we had finished reading about like Mullah Nasruddin and his very like interesting solution for to his like neighbor's problem. Now let us look at the question answers, which is a problem we have to find solution, right? Okay, what was Nasruddin's neighbor lamenting about? Well, Nasruddin का neighbor जो है वो किस बात के लिए रोगा रहा था? Spacing was in his small house. Yeah, that was his problem. How many hens did the neighbor have? कितने था? 10 I think. You can confirm with the book, but I guess 10 थे. Which was the last animal Nasruddin's neighbor put in his house? I think ये बकरी थी नहीं, goat. डंकी उससे पहले गया था. Put it along with the other animals. Who said this? Of course Nasruddin ने ही कहा होगा. वही तो सारे जानवरों को उसके घर में घुसा रहा था. Why was Nasruddin's neighbor complaining about the lack of space in his house? You will find the answer right at the top, right? I mean, because there were just too many people living in the house, which included the neighbor, his wife, his 3 kids, and then his mother-in-law, right? That's why he was complaining. How did the neighbor react when Mullah asked him to put a goat in his house? Did he follow Mullah's advice? Okay, reaction क्या था जब उसने बकरी रखने के लिए कहा? Well, the man once again raised a fuss and seemed anything but eager to follow Nasruddin's advice, but Nasruddin once again convinced him to put yet another animal in the house, right? वो जो है फिर से जो है हाई तौबा मचाता है कि ना हमसे ना हो पाएगा भैया, क्या करवा रहे हो, जान ले रहे हो, लेकिन इवेंचुअली नसरुद्दीन ने उसे फिर समझा दिया, उसने वो एनिमल को घर में रख लिया. Name the animals that the neighbor put in his house. Write a paragraph on what would have happened in his house after all the animals were put in. Okay, well that's a very interesting question. Okay, I guess the paragraph is already in your book. Okay, the animals the neighbor put in his house were hens, cow, donkey, goat. I guess these were the animals. If I missed anyone, if I missed any, you can add them. I guess the family's reaction when he had put all the animals inside was like everyone at his throat. They were complaining, right? They were really upset with him. Everyone was at his throat complaining about the lack of space. They were like really miserable. Why was Nasruddin's neighbor upset after following Nasruddin's advice? Well, you can just put the same thing here, because everyone was complaining about the lack of space, and they were really upset with the neighbor. I mean, the family members were really upset with the guy, right? Okay, now let's come to this section. Think and answer. Our house is already cramped as it is. Why did Nasruddin's neighbor use the word as it is? Well, he uses the words as it is to indicate that the house, the situation, the current situation itself is problematic for him, and if he adds any more new inhabitants to the house, it will get only worse. Why do you think the neighbor in the story kept on following every suggestion given by Nasruddin despite not agreeing with them? Okay, well, one, I think that he was really desperate to find a solution for his problem, and another thing is that Mullah Nasruddin is very good at convincing people. Mullah, your plan has worked like a charm. How did Mullah's plan work like a charm? Well, once, with all the animals occupying too much of a space within the house, everyone was having really tough time, right? However, once the animals were out, suddenly the same space started appearing or seeming like really vast, really enough, and everyone was happy with that. They stopped complaining about the lack of space and the problem it was causing. That is why that is how Mullah's plan worked like a charm. Okay, now you have to look at the picture and write a dialogue for each. Okay, so this is the neighbor, this is Mullah, and this guy will say, well, कौन सा डायलॉग आप डालना चाहोगे? Well, this guy will say, put the cow inside the house, and the other guy will say, but my house is already crowded. Where Mullah can say that, well, trust me, trust me and put the animal inside if you want to find a solution to your problem, and he will say, okay, all right. Or another option is that, like he will come and say, Mullah, your plan worked like a charm. Now everyone is happy and content with the arrangement and everything. And Mullah will say, yeah, well, you did good job trusting me on this. Okay, so well, anything that comes to your mind. Now read the following statement and answer the questions that follow. Everyone is at my throat complaining about. Who says this? The neighbor says this to Mullah Nasruddin. Who are everyone? Every family member, or all the family members are the everyone here. Why is everyone complaining? Well, because with all the animals inside the house, there is really very little space to move around. What happens next in the story? Mullah advises him to like get rid of all the animals, or like put the all the animals outside. So well, that is what happens. Now let us look at these hot questions. Mullah said nothing but smiled. Why do you think Mullah smiled? Because only he knew that the space was still the same. It was just the perception of all the family members that had changed. What lesson do you learn from this story? Well, the key lesson we learn from this story is that our problems are only an outcome or product of our perspective, okay, our point of view. If we change our point of view, if we look at the things differently, we won't have these problems at all. So well, that's it for this chapter, because we don't seem to be having anything here, are we? Okay, yeah. Now in the next lesson we will learn how to write advertisement, and that will be a part of your activity. Okay, well then, until then, have fun. Bye bye.